Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by the company you depend upon for all of your greatest needs, HartLife. These stories are true dramatizations from our fair city's glorious history. So listen and remember, HartLife, all the life you'll ever need. Life is our fair city's most precious commodity. We trade with no one. Our economy is closed, and our currencies are internal. With no profit to make, all the directors could hope for is to invest in our capital, the resource which will one day pay dividends when again there is someone with whom something may be traded across the surface. Normally, a single life may represent little more than a number in a ledger. As the accounts of the city unfold, there are just as many deductions as there are credits. The mighty Neal Henderson, however, is no accountant. To him, one life represents weeks of companionship, days of trekking across the tundra, and countless defiances of death. One life represents all that he has left. It comes to Doctors Caligari, West and Morrow, to save his investment or leave Neal Henderson with nothing.
It's a museum, I tell him. There are no real doctors in Dr. Montgomery Moreau's museum and historical house. But does he listen? Of course not. Not that the hospitals are even operable at this point, but still, all I asked was Neal to bust his way into one of those little storehouses for us, and what does he say? I gotta help my Lomi first, 'cause I'm an idiot. So yet again, I end up in the dark, frigid tunnel being chased by something that probably wants to eat me. Unbelievable! Hello? Anyone seen a gigantic PWC with a half-rotten mole?
Gotta help. It just gets worse, ain't she?
Worse is so subjective, so unclinical. She is, however, getting dead.
And thus we must be off, if you'll excuse us.
Neal!
There you are, the docs. They won't listen, but Lomi, she's
You're not doing a very good job of guarding the door, Snidge.
How'd you get in here?
Through the front door. It was unlocked.
Oh.
Andrew, why don't you go help Elizabeth harvest the meat wall for lunch?
Last time, it tried to bite me.
Well, this time use the long scalpel. And the earplugs, my boy, so you don't catch your death of wailing.
All right, Dr. West. Herbert. Allison, they won't listen.
They probably won't listen because she's going to die. She's not doing well.
Then what do I tell them?
Neal, let me talk to them. But promise me that afterwards you'll tunnel into the storehouse with us, okay? Right. So, what'll it take for you to mend her up? If it's rations you want, we've got loads.
But didn't you just
Tons
say...
of rations! We've got some information on the outside. Patching her up should be no trouble at all. I'm sure you do this all the time.
I am not a veterinarian. I am a scientist. And this is a laboratory that should be in the process of making a switchboard to save every soul in the city.
But Lomi's getting... sicker.
I would hate to use this on civilians, but I also hate repeating myself.
Doctors, before you blast our visitors into frosty pieces, could I have a word? Do you see that shovel on his back? Henderson's one of the best putrescible waste collectors this city's ever seen.
Lovely. Shall we point him toward the lavatorial sectors for him to do his civic duty?
My point is that you need power. He makes it. In spades.
How much power are we talking?
Enough electricities to power your whatchamacallit till your fusion thingy can get started.
Excellent, let the science begin.
No! West! We can't drop everything to go save a mole whose chances of survival are approaching nil.
You should help her.
You too, Dr. Morrow.
All that we are doing here today
Whisper from...
is to try and save the inhabitants of the city. Lomi is one of those inhabitants. Her life is worth as much as anyone's.
She's a gangrened mole.
She's a gangrened mole person and a friend.
She's practically falling to pieces.
The pieces can be put together again if the surge
physicians working on her are indeed the best scientists in the city.
Fine. If everyone insists, we'll try and save the mole person's life, but not for free.
And maybe while we save her life, we just make a few teeny adjustments to what sort of head she has.
No! Beheading and reheading. Clear?
Oh, all right. How I suffer from your scientific incuriosity.
What are you all over there whispering about? Can't you see she's getting worse? Hang in there, Lomi.
Mr. Henderson, we'll help your mole in exchange for a bit of labor. Davenport says you're a fine waste recycler.
Well, yeah, me and Betsy can shovel more than our whole crew when we get down to it. Is that all I gotta do?
The plan will require a bit more work than your average shift. There may be some other risks involved, inherent dangers. The possibility of a injury is high, but if you say you'll do it...
Oh, dear Emily, look at you, getting consent from your subjects. How quaint.
Yes, I will do whatever you need. Just help Lomi.
Then we have a deal. Put her up here.
I know it hurts, Lomi, but the doctors are gonna heal you right up. You'll be back to digging and singing and coffee carting in no time.
And we've got some friends with some bite wounds down in Tunnel 6.
Don't push your luck.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Doctor.
Oh, I'm no doctor, ma'am.
Davenport.
We don't pick putrescible waste collectors for their wits, Doctor. Now, while they're working, the two of you wait out there. I'll talk to the switcher and see what he'll need from you.
Well, wait a sec, can't I help with Lomi?
No, we can't have you contaminating the operating room. Go on, then. Shoo.
You should have asked what she wanted you to do.
I would have said yes anyways.
Right. Of course you would have. Did it look like there was an old guy frozen in a tube in there?
Uh-huh. It sure did.
This thing looks like the radios we used to have in the relations department. Why don't we play something to lighten the mood?
This shelf displays all of the legendary Dr. Montgomery Morrow's tools of surgery. On the left, you can see the lancet used to drain bodily fluids from patients suffering from infection. On the right, you can see the ligatures used to pinch off the lymph blood flow to patients suffering from infection. And in the center, you can see the legendary saw that slices and cuts tendons and ligaments and
That's
flesh
enough of that.
and bone.
Say, what do you think Lomi'd like to do when she gets out of the doc's office?
I don't know.
I bet she'll want to head right back to work. Or maybe she'd like to come back out and meet Dora again with me. You know, fully conscious this time. And she said I could come out whenever I'd like, and I could stay in her house and have raccoon pup soup. Maybe we could all go out there. Me, you, Lomi. Hell, maybe even Tim and Grayson if they ain't feeling too cowardly about it.
That would be nice.
You hear something?
Nope. Not a thing.
Are you sure you don't hear?
Just the sound of beakers hitting the floor. Why don't we go see if these scientists are stockpiling any spammed algae?
But Lomi's still in there.
The doctors will take care of her. You shouldn't worry. I'm sure she'll be fine.
But Lomi, she's starting
Get
to...
moving!
After all of Edward Davenport's struggle and toil, after throwing away his career and standing with the company, after violating corporate policy and freeing a non-voluntary guest at the Data Extraction Center, a solution presents itself. Note, open-minded listener, that this solution was not of Mr. Davenport's making. No, this solution has arrived in the form of a single and singular policy, Mr. Neal Henderson, who has simply agreed to do his job. It is through obedience and hard work that we find our greatest success. It is through fulfilling the expectations of the great HartLife Corporation that we find our salvation. It is through our faith in the great plan of the founders and their constant stewards, our board of directors, that we find our place in the world. Will it be enough? Can Neal Henderson's broad shoulders carry the future of the city? And will the ministrations of the good Dr. Caligari suffice to save our damaged mole? Find out next week in the exciting climax of the 4th season of Our Fair City.